Hey, what's up, my friends? John Hiley here with the Tactical Dent YouTube channel and the Tactical Dent Tech Facebook group. So many of you guys here may have seen this reel, or maybe you have not seen the reel that I released earlier this week, but it is on this incredibly nasty damage. You can see there is a tiny bit of paint damage at the top, and many of you know on these cab corners there is absolutely no access back in behind the seat belt or any of that. So I'm going to have to glue pull this entire dent. Now I'm going to be up front with you guys. This is probably the worst glue pull repair that I ever faced. So this has been the most challenging glue pull by far that I've ever came up against. So I'm going to go ahead and take you through the process. First off, I'm using Anson collision glue, and this stuff takes a little bit of time to actually set up, and because of that I'm going to use that in the beginning phase of this repair. I'm going to be using this VIP slide hammer. That is a carbon fiber slide hammer. What a great product by VIP Dent Tools. Our boy Pete Torr over there has made some incredible leaps and bounds in tools over the last few years. And so here we go. I'm checking the Atlas Titan tabs. Yes, I love the Atlas Titan tabs. I was told by a gentleman online that the Keko Centipede tabs would have really hooked up to this damage. But y'all know me. I love the Atlas Titans, but I am going to try them Keko Centipede tabs. I just did not have any for this repair. You know how it is. You put a reel out there, people are going to give you suggestions. And so, yeah, Keko makes great products as well. But this is the Atlas Titans. Now, I bought this from Anson PDR Tools. Now, previous to turning on the video, I actually prepped this panel. Not only did I prep it with alcohol, but I also used a torch to heat it up, so that way I could get rid of any moisture that might be in the painted surface. Now, the tricky part about this is early on, if you remember, I showed you where the paint was stressed out. Honestly, it looks much bigger. That paint mark looked much bigger in that video because I really zoomed up on it. But it is a very tiny, it's almost the size of a tip of a pen. And the hard part about that, it's at the very top of the dent, and I had to do a ton of blending to get that area out, because as you can see here, I'm putting glue tabs on the inside of this dent. I'm twisting them right there because I'm checking if there's any play in them, because that tells me when I'm ready for a pull. You also see me touch around the edge to feel how warm the glue is. All right, so going back to the cracked area or the stressed area at the top, had to be very careful with that because I cannot glue a tab there. So that all has to be blending work. Thankfully, it's the top of the crown, so I just got to be very careful on how I do my knockdown work, making sure that I do not dent that area up at all while I'm doing the crown work. Because when it comes to repairs like this, to be honest with you, I am testing right now. So I am feeling out how well this metal is going to move. I'm looking to see, I'm doing the top and the bottom for a reason. Like, I'm trying to see which one's going to move. Because sometimes you can swell the bottom part into the top. And other times, if you can unlock that top, it's going to make it much easier to move the bottom. But at the end of the day, this is always situational, very situational. Every single dent is different. And to be honest with you, when the gentleman came and dropped off the vehicle, this is one of the deals where I just told him, I said, I do not know if this is going to be repairable. But what I can tell you is I've got some extra time. I'll let you know in a day if I think that it's going to fix, it's going to repair. I actually had this in my shop for 3 days doing this. Had a bunch of other jobs come in. I spent around 10 hours worth of repair time on this one. And you'll see how it comes out at the end. You'll see how it comes out. I would not call it flawless, but I think that you're going to you'll understand that the results were definitely worth the repair. Again, just gluing tabs in there. Oh, and so what I was telling you is a story when the gentleman, he on his way over here, he called me, and or I'm sorry, before he left, he called me, and he said, hey, he's like, I want to drive up there. I just want you to have a look at it in person if you think it's doable, because this gentleman drove to all kinds of shops, and he actually ended up coming to me from about an hour away. And so he went to many different PDR shops. He spoke to a bunch of different people, and he ended up at a body shop, and he got an enormous quote to do this repair. If this actual job goes to a body shop, you've got this red pearl paint, and the door's got to be painted. It's got to be blended into the door. The glass has got to be taken out because the paint's got to go in behind the glass. You can't shoot the paint up to the edge. The bedside's got to be, the whole bedside, that whole box has got to be backed off and pulled back from the truck. So the whole thing's got to be unbolted because you got to shoot the paint back in behind the bed. The little spot, I know I'm not showing it now in the tutorial, but the little spot in between the bed and the this cab corner here, you have to pull that bedside back, or else it's going to be all rough when you put your hand behind there. You got to shoot the clear all the way to a particular line in there, right where that line breaks. And so he was telling me about how expensive the body repair was, and he was telling me, all the things that the body shop said they had to do, and I just literally agreed to him. I said, I agreed with the body shop. I said, that is all the things that they have to do to repair this. And kind of my whole deal with these large dents, I really wanted to challenge myself on this one. I knew that this particular repair would be world class, especially having a video done of the process. And, to my knowledge, there's probably some videos out there with similar glue pulls, but this is a top video when it comes to glue pulling, for sure. So here we go. Now you're going to see me go into knockdown work. And I, by the way, I'm not saying that, with a conceited attitude, anything like that, because I'm telling you guys that this dent could have quickly humbled me as fast as it could anybody. This was testing my limits. And I told the gentleman, I said to him that if I couldn't get the repair to a very good standard, then, I wasn't going to charge him any money. So the thing is, I usually spend a couple hours on the dent to see if I can get it unlocked. There's a certain point with these dents where I will know that it's good to go. And this particular dent, it's when I get that deepest part of the dent unlocked. That's when I know that I'm good to go. And you'll see as I go in deeper into this process of unlocking this dent, that it's very directional, very directional. So that's me just touching that little spot. That's that little spot up there that you've seen at the beginning of the video. And right there, I'm checking it. I'm making sure. I'm like, okay, when I'm working this crown up at the very top, I cannot afford to make a mistake up there. So here we go, dropping that Atlas Titan in there, and I'm going to drop another one in there. But you see how little by little I'm going up that damage? And if you look below these two Atlas Titans, you're going to see a much more shallow line. Now, I'm not going to sit there and keep working that line. Like, I know the part that's below these two tabs is good to go now. I know that I shallowed it up enough and I unlocked it enough to where I can continue glue pulling that area and it's going to be good to go. The big question is up here at the top, getting it unlocked. And I will tell you that when you do any kind of glue pull like this, that's in a very, not only does this have a curve to it, multiple curves that you've got to blend in and contours that you got to work with, but, just the strength of this particular panel, you constantly have to be doing knockdown work. Like every time that I take a pull, every time that I take a pull, it's creating almost a wave around it. It's locking, pressure's being locked. So all the time you're taking a pull and you're taking your knockdown and you're kind of going around the edges. Now you're going to see quite a bit more of that here a little bit later in this video. But as of right now, I'm just trying to move a little bit of the core. And when I say the core, I'm talking about the deeper area. And it just happens to be that working this thing from the bottom to the top is what's working. So I'm going to continue to do that until the dent tells me otherwise. Now, you guys will see I end up switching my glue eventually. Again, this particular glue, this is Anson Collision. The glue sticks, they are white when you take them out of the package. But when you pump it through the gun, it comes out almost clear, like a clear. And so the good thing about collision glue, and the important thing about collision glue, and what makes it actually different, is that you can set it on there for quite a long time. So what that will do is it'll actually help you with while you're setting things up. You know, I had a vehicle in here the other day that not only was I putting lateral tension on it with collision glue, but I was also using a bridge puller up at the top. And so you've got three things going on. You really can't afford to use glue that cures up too fast. So a lot of the hail glue, it's designed to, you put that stuff on, especially like the pink snappy, which is some of my favorite hail glue. As soon as you glue it on there, it's ready to go. Very, very quickly. It just sets up very quickly. Collision glue, you're going to be waiting a little bit longer, and it's actually going to stay set up in that elastic state where you get the best pull much longer than your other glues. And eventually, throughout this repair, you'll see I'll begin to switch glues up. I actually end up going with tab weld eventually. So I run a stick of tab weld through. That's a Black Plague product that is very good. Very good glue. It's a consistent glue. Probably the one downside, it leaves more like debris particles that you got to clean off. That's the only thing I don't like about it. I actually ended up going with tab weld for a little while. So I started out with Anson Collision Glue, then I went into tab weld. And then after that, I ended up going in with some hog glue. So Anson PDR sells this stuff called hog glue that was originally created for motorcycle tanks. And to be honest with you, since I started using the hog glue on this particular repair, for whatever reason, the temperature, the way that it is right now in Texas, I just have been continuing to use it. It's working really well right now. I'm a big fan of testing glues. Big fan of, it's very situational when it comes to glue. A lot of these glues, they react different with a different environment. Right now here in Texas, it's very interesting because we're at this point where basically the weather has all these personalities. So you can have winter in the morning. It's literally freezing in the morning, and I'm wearing a coat. And then by noon, it feels like it's springtime. And then by 4 o'clock, it's summertime. So technically, it's like we're getting all three seasons in one day, every day. Y'all can really see this thing getting skinnier. You see how it's just getting skinnier. And what you've seen there was me tapping around the edges. So like I told you earlier that I'm going to take pulls and I'm going to be doing knockdown work. I'm going to take pulls and be doing knockdown work. Now, this right here, normally with an Atlas Titan with this much glue, I believe I'm using tab weld right now. Yeah, so this right here is tab weld. So with a Titan tab using that much glue, typically if you put that on a dent, I mean, you can't even get the tab off of there. But what's happening here is this dent is so locked up. You got to understand the interior of this dent is rock solid. So there is no bounce in the panel, if you would say. Like the middle of a door, it sounds like a drum, like a deep drum when you hit it. Well, when you tap on this thing, it's a high-pitched tick because there is no flex going on here. There is no, the panel's not going to bounce up and down, absorbing some of that pull. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing pulls, but it's just yanking it right off because of the how severely damaged this is. And guys, I spend a ton of time just going up and down this with the Atlas Titans. I kind of switch it up a little bit. There is that deep ding on the right-hand side there. So this thing kind of had what actually had happened was the guy's camper was connected to his fifth wheel, and it basically, I guess he turned it too tight, and the camper crushed this cab corner in. And so it created this large dent, but it also created a almost like a golf ball sized dent to the right-hand side of that tab, the little lower right-hand side of that tab. So you're actually going to see me use some robo tabs there. And little by little, that's me checking everything. And what I was trying to do by switching to this tab weld was just get a quicker setup time. I wanted something that I could drop on there. And to be honest with you, I just wanted to test it. It's actually been a while since I've used tab weld. And so I wanted to get in there and test it and just see how well it worked. See, that's the little residue I was telling you about right there. I have no idea why it does that. I mean, a lot of people love tab weld, but it just tends to leave these little particles of residue that you're always wiping off. Other than that, I can't complain about the glue at all. I definitely recommend to have a little bit of tab weld laying around. That is for sure. I will tell you, though, right now I'm most impressed with the hog glue. I haven't got into it yet, but I will be using the hog glue on this repair. And I've been using it for everything. I just had a job that came in and used it on the Titans. Used it on, I've been using the, what are they called? Super Straight tabs by Black Plague. Man, I will tell you, them things pull very nice. Now, what you're seeing here is you're seeing me working the edge, okay? Like working the peak off of this crown. Look how I'm going up and down the entire, the entire cab corner. And I'm just working that edge, trying to get the shoulders off of that deep channel that you see right there in the middle of that cab corner, and trying to work the pressure off of them so that I can take some even better pulls. And now you can see there dropping that's a robo tab right there. You guys watched a lot of my videos. You'll always see a robo tab in the video. I mean, they're basically indestructible, and the quarter size one pulls so hard. There we go. That was a nice pull. And see, a lot of times the pull that you take on these deep, very deep areas, it's that knockdown work that set me up to have that good pull. I was able to knock just enough off the shoulders of that deep channel to get a pull. And then what happens? Rinse and repeat. Do it again. Do it again. I mean, look, I could have recorded the full 10 hours of this. I'm not going to have you go through the full 10 hours of this, but I will take you through all the phases of this particular repair. And so, but I really wanted to spend some time with you on this particular phase, because the truth of the matter is, this is what makes or breaks the repair. Right here, where it's gnarly, it's deep, terrible looking. But, my friends, a lot can be learned, not only learned. You see me tapping that, by the way? I was checking the sound of it. And so when you hear a very high-pitched tick, sometimes you got to do your knockdown work to get the edges off that shoulder. So I guess I just tapped it with my hands there, and I deemed it good to go. Let's lay a tab on there, take a pull. Let them set up here for a moment. Now for the Robo tab over there, I will be using a mini lifter. I've been mixing it up. I got the Pro PDR Solution mini lifter, which I like. I've got Tom Price, his mini lifter, which I love that. And then I've also got the Robo lifter. And the Robo lifter actually works the best with the super straight tabs that we were talking about earlier. And you'll see the super straight tabs were really important when it came to the finishing work of this particular repair. And one of the reasons why I used a mini light, guys, a lot of times I use my big light. Well, the mini light, it works perfect for this situation. I actually didn't even bring out the larger, my large roll around light. Just use the mini light. There we go. All right, and you can see there, guys, so that is the heat gun setup that I have. And with that heat gun setup, I can actually lift it up and point it at the panel because it's super cold, again, here early in the morning in Texas. So I actually use that to keep it at a nice temperature so that way I can take some really nice glue pulls. So even though I don't need the heat gun for anything other than just making that particular zone warmer. Why? Because it's going to give me a better pull. What happens is when it's cold out, the glue it tends to become very brittle. And you get no pull at all. And that's the worst. You can kind of see me changing the angle on my light as well a little bit. And you can also see now in this frame that a lot of the lower part of that dent has moved up. So I decided that I was still having problems lifting that deep core, the top of the dent. Now, I call that the core because that was the deepest area of the damage. Not because it's at the center. There we go. That was a nice pull. Now, see, I'm starting to get some pulls like that. You know that the metal's coming and the metal is beginning to give a little bit. It's just like you got to be at the point where, the metal does not want to give up. Right? This metal does not want to give up, but little by little with the proper amount of knockdown work. Now, I used a soft tip knockdown on this. I used Anson has a pink tip that I used quite a bit for the knockdown work. And then I also used the peak tips, mainly the firing pin at this stage. So the firing pin is a peak tip knockdown. That is about mid-level as far as how sharp that knockdown is. And see, that's what I'm using right now is the actual firing pin. Now what's happening, that crown was starting to tighten up, and every time I take a pull, it would give me a tight little skinny ridge. Now I didn't want to beat that thing up with a soft tip knockdown. I wanted to go in and just kind of finesse it out, relieving that pressure around this tab so I can take that big boy pull. There we go. And so the thing is, when you do these cab corners, you have got to look at this thing from every direction imaginable. Now, when I started out, I don't really have to look at it from every direction. I'm trying to get it unlocked, mostly unlocked from this direction. Now, eventually, you're going to see me switch it up a little bit, and especially up here at the top, once I get it in the rough. And when I say that, when I get it in the rough, that means that I know that it is doable. Even at this point of the repair, like, I am not 100% sure if that is going to completely unlock, because what you're looking at there is the depth of the damage. And so it's still questionable whether this is going to be fixable or not. But there's a certain point you can kind of see when you're looking at it direct on at this particular view, where you see that deep little knot in there. Well, there's a certain point where you do a couple of the right pulls, a lot of blending, and that deep little knot disappears. When that thing disappears, you've got her in the rough. And when you got her in the rough, then all you've got to do is focus on doing hours of detail work. To be honest with you, this stage of the repair is much quicker than all the detail work. I mean, you guys will see the detail work is incredibly time-consuming. I mean, especially because I have no access to get in behind this panel. So all of the detail work, every single little low, every little wave in this panel needs to be glue pulled. And some of you guys know. If you know, you know. That is incredibly hard when the dent is this, when it's this stretched out of whack. Okay, so you can see me. I'm using a soft tip, by the way, on that. So as I went up, I changed the soft tip because, you know, that kind of had a nice fat crown all the way around the back edge that you really didn't even start to see until the core of the damage started shaping up. And you can see these are hard hits that I'm taking on this thing. Hard hits with that soft tip. And one of the things that I'm using here is that Dent Vision paddle. I love that Dent Vision paddle. And I'm not saying that because Nick's a friend of mine, because if I didn't like it, I wouldn't even pick it up. I wouldn't use it. I'm very particular about my hammers. That is the best paddle that I've ever had. It's 10 times better than the wood ones. That wood, that clanking sound all the time. Just the, I don't know, there's something when you hit it with the right hammer that it gives you almost like that dead blow effect. And so this is the only paddle that reminded me of my original hammer. Go back to some of my old videos. Y'all will see that yellow hammer, the freaking love of my life. And she disappeared one day, and I have no idea where she went. No idea where she went. It's like a sad country song, you know. Thing meant a lot to me. I wish I could have her back, but you know. And that thing you can't. I've tried the ones out there that look like it. What it was an old raw. Look at that pull, yeah. What it was it was made by the Ding King back in the late 90s. And I don't know how they came up with it, but they came up with one of the best freaking hammers ever. Look at that, guys. See how that knot is just starting to come out. We are starting to get her in the rough. That's the only thing I don't like about that light. When I grab it up there at the top, I always accidentally change the color of it. It's got green. It's got the white color. I don't like any of them. I started this with fluorescent bulbs, and I would get kitchen and bath bulbs. So kitchen and bath had the same tone, the same amber tone that you see me using today. and it's just what I like. My eyes, I tried that green, that bright green, and I just can't do it. It's too much. It almost makes me a little dizzy or something like that when you're looking into that green for too long. It's just too bright and too green. But to me, this color, this amber color, just very soft on my eyes. You've been doing this for over 20 years. You learn to kind of not only protect your eyes, but protect your muscles, protect the parts of your body that are going to wear out. Because I actually had some guy contact me, said that he wanted to get into paintless dent removal because he had this particular job and he couldn't lift stuff anymore. He had a bad back. And I told him, I said, man, I'm just telling you, bro, you might want to look into something else, because if you have a bad back right now, paintless dent removal is going to do you even dirtier. Because, not so bad, this position that I'm in here, but the crazy positions that I got to get in and day out to look at dents and particular angles for extended periods of time, I am at the chiropractor every week getting getting all that, so that way I don't keep my wife awake rolling around in bed all night long. So I don't want to bum you guys out. Now, we are like a body man who doesn't get dirty. Now, that's the good part, right? But I think back pain just comes along with the old career. Even my son, who is this guy, my son John, I'm training him right now, but he goes into the gym like 7 days a week. He's like one of them dudes. And I mean, he is strong, freaking strong. His first week doing paintless dent removal, his mom came to me and said, John's been coming home complaining about his back and says he doesn't know how dad does it. So, yeah, even the youngin', it got him. All right, there we go, setting up. I'm still using that stick of tab weld. I had one stick laying around, and I think that's literally my last stick of tab weld. And I said, what the heck? Why not? I got a bunch of that hog glue, and which is orange. It's like Harley Davidson orange. It's made for motorcycle tanks. I was thinking about this as well, because I've done some glue pulls, and I've done trainings of glue pulling motorcycle tanks. And this was a lot like a motorcycle tank. I mean, how strong this edge is, this cab corner is, all around these curvatures, is just like a motorcycle tank. There we go. You guys kind of see how I'm just honed into this, right? I think that's the hog glue right there. Yep, I believe that's a mixture, right? So that's when your gun starts pumping out part of one glue and part of the other glue. I don't know, for some reason I love that phase where the two glues start to mince together. Sometimes I get my best freaking pulls from that phase. Now here I am taking a pull on that deep core, and I'm going in and loosening it up again. You got to go in and knock it down and take your pulls. Knock it down, take your pulls. Rinse and repeat over and over and over. Now, I don't obviously don't have 10 hours worth of repair work in this particular video. Now, I do almost have an hour for you here, which I'll go through the phases. But if I went through the 10 hours, I mean, y'all would see, I couldn't even count. I have no idea how many pulls I took on this. I mean, 500 pulls maybe? I don't know. There we go. You can always tell when you get movement too. You start doing dent removal for a long time. Some of you veterans, you guys know exactly what I'm saying here. But some of you folks that might be new or getting into paintless dent removal, or maybe you're just watching this as a client, watching some of my repairs. When you get... You begin to like become part of the tool, if that makes sense, right? And so literally, like, I can tell if that metal moved as soon as I hit it with that slide hammer. Like, I don't have to take off the glue to look at it to know that the metal moved. Like, I can feel it in my hand, the way the pull hits. There's like a thud, there's a certain impact that you feel in that slide hammer, and you know that you moved it. Which is even terrible when you pull it off and you know that you didn't move it at all. And so, but what happens is you go take a glue pull on one of these things and it doesn't move. You need to do more knockdown work. Which you see me just doing a ton of knockdown work. Wait till y'all see all the different angles that I got to get this thing. This is literally it just getting it in the rough. Once I get it in the rough, there is going to be so many ripples and waves and lines and dots and, all of this stuff, collateral damage, like nobody's perfect. But what's good is if you can clean up your tracks, right? So when you're doing knockdown work on this, if you think that you're not going to maybe hit it a little too hard or maybe accidentally hit it a little bit further in the wrong spot, causing yourself a little additional work, it's going to happen. It is going to happen. I've worked with some of the greatest repair technicians in the world, and nobody goes through one of these repairs without making some little mistakes and going back and learning from your mistakes. That's one of the things that I taught one of my students, Sonny, who came up from Alaska. He's actually moving back here to Austin. Really great guy. And so had him up here for a week doing advanced training. And I just told him, I said, you're going to learn more from fixing your mistakes than anything. Well, the first thing you learn is like how to make less of them. And little by little over time, you continue making less and you make less and you make less until eventually, you get better and you get better and you get better. And that's just the way it works. And one of the things that I told him, and something that has to sink in for anybody who wants to get into paintless dent removal, is it doesn't matter it matters who your trainer is, because if you're getting inaccurate information, then you're starting off with a terrible foundation. You don't want that, but your trainer cannot do your push-ups for you. And I was told this about the gym, going to the gym. Like if I could, look, I don't even like going to the gym. I go to the gym. Many of you guys know this, but I don't like it. It's not something that I wake up and want to do, the 4 days a week that I go to the gym. And if I could, listen, if I could hire a trainer and I could just pay them to go do my push-ups for me, and I would stay fit, if I could pay them to go lift for me and somehow my body would actually benefit from that, of course I would. That would make it much easier, but paintless dent removal is exactly the same way. You can't pay somebody to do your push-ups for you. So, yes, learning and getting the solid foundation is key. It's definitely key, because you don't want to build a house on a weak foundation. And I'm here to tell y'all that some of you guys out there that are looking for training, you're finding places that is going to build you, that look probably the most professional from the outside looking in. And yeah, they've got the best salespeople and, all these kind of things. But you are in for a treat when you get back from training with some of these places out there. Look at that big boy right there. Big old double glue. What you're seeing right there, you're seeing glue from the last 2 or 3 pulls. And I think this is why I'm loving this hog glue so much. Look at that. That thing stacked up. And watch this pull. There we go. You see me twisting it right there? I'm checking the tolerance. Because once that thing stops wiggling, she's ready to pull. Like again, just like the slide hammer, knowing the pull, like I can wiggle that tab until I feel just the right amount of play. And what I mean by that is when you first put my hand on it, start wiggling, it's just wiggling a lot, right? But as soon as that thing just tightens up, it's time to pull it. Bam! Look at that. Oh, beautiful. And that was stacked with glue from the last couple pulls. I think that actually made it get down into that contour even better. Even better. Man, thing's still gnarly, isn't it? So you've got to rinse and repeat this step until this deepest part of the damage is unlocked. Look at that. And I've been asked from clients and customers about this. Okay, guys. I've been asked clients and customers about this, so I'll clear this up. They asked me about ripping off paint. Typically, with today's factory paint, I don't have any issues with it. Occasionally, paint is going to rip off, but I always let the client know there is that very small chance. Now, what y'all are seeing here is that I've went about as far as I could looking at it from the previous direction. So now I'm looking up at it, and I'm taking my tabs in at a completely different angle. So I'm angling my tabs almost parallel with the light board, and I'm taking my pulls just like this, up and down this cab corner. This right here is a critical view, by the way. So, you guys seen the original view? That original view is not the most important view, in my opinion. I mean, every view is important, but being able to get this thing flattened out by essentially looking down up at it, you really get to see the curves and the contours of that panel when you're down here looking up at it. And I got to do a ton of blending and a ton of knockdown work from this particular angle. Now you can see here that it is dramatically shallowed up, meaning that deepest part of the dent is unlocked. Now I'm going to consider this right now at this particular phase. Like at this phase in the game, I knew it was good. We're good to go. In fact, I told my son, who he handles the CRM systems and he handles the conversation. At this point, I looked over at him and I said, "Hey," I said, "go ahead and text him and let him know we're good to go on this one. That we'll be able to fix it." I got a gentleman over there on pins and needles waiting to see if I'm going to be able to fix this or not. I told him to give me 1 day with it. Now, I had a bunch of other smaller jobs. What I like to do with these big jobs, look at that. Oh, beautiful pull. Look at that. My slide hammer came off. There we go. Beautiful pull. And so had a bunch of other jobs come in. With these big jobs, I don't like to work on them just straight. I'll keep them in my shop, and then I'll come over here and work on it a little bit, and then I'll have another door ding or something like that come in. Take a little break, have a Celsius, drink a cup of coffee, whatever it'll take to give me the energy to work on this bad boy is what I do. Now, I eat real healthy now. And so many of you guys know last year I got diagnosed as a diabetic, which, that'll change your eating habits. That'll change your eating habits. Here we go. Now, listen, I'm using this knockdown. I love the pattern that this knockdown was giving me as I'm doing my work. And so this is a giant, this is like for the original material. I forget what type of plastic it is, but it's like the original material that we used back in the day. And it's got a little bit of, it's a little bit soft. So this particular plastic is a little bit soft. I felt like the peak knockdown, which I do continue to use on this, but I felt at this phase in the game, I wanted to use this bad boy because it wasn't putting in any kind of, wasn't leaving any kind of divots in the paint, and it was moving the metal just the way that I wanted it to move. I probably have 20 different knockdowns that I use, but mainly I use 4 to 5 of them every day. All right, so there you go. Now I'm doing some blending. Now this is critically important, guys, because all of them pulls left all of these little waves and little contours and little ups and downs and, all this kind of stuff. And at some point, you got to break it up and blend it all out. And so this is a very important phase of a repair like this, especially on a contour. The blending hammer works the best on rails and it works the best on any panel that has a contour. And technically, this cab corner, just as strong as a rail. I mean, it connects to the rail, right? And so technically, part of it is in the rail if you really want to be, particular about it. But this cab corner is essentially just like a rail on the backside of the truck. And looking down at it is the equivalent of me looking straight down a rail. Now, some of you guys will get this, some of you guys won't. But if you are already a PDR technician, I mean, how many times would you fix a rail looking at it from the angle that I began this dent? Now, the reason why I began the dent at that particular angle is because I needed to align my light with the crease, right? But the truth of the matter is, this is where the actual panel is repaired fully, is from this particular angle. And the blending hammer is great because I can get my eyes way far away from that damage from a distance and be able to move all the little waves, all them little curves and contours that I got to blend together. And this part of the game, once I'm at this level, now the repair actually starts glue pulling like butter. Now that's where you want to be in a job like this. And now the blending hammer works great for some things, and there's other things I look at it and say, I want to hit that with a knockdown. And so this at this point I'm using Peak Knockdown, and this one right here is the one of the very sharp ones. It's I forget the name of it, but it is I believe the very sharpest one that they have. And so this is even sharper than the Pee-wee. Many of you guys see me use the Pee-wee that's smaller than the firing pin. But I got to look up at Anson Dent Tools. You could actually check it out. This is a Dead Dent Tools tip that I'm using. And I'm also using the Zero Gravity Knockdown, which is from the same guy who makes my paddle there, Dent Vision. That's all I use now. I mean, occasionally you see me use my soft tip knockdown, which was an old school aluminum one. Now, guys, here is when the game changes. This is me dropping the super straight tabs. And I'm going to take you through this. Now, I probably went through this 100 times with these tabs, okay? Blending, picking out little lows. I don't want you to think, you guys are watching 55 minutes of a 10-hour repair. So do not think that this is all that I did, because I probably laid these super straight tabs on this corner. Again, I probably went through it 100 times. But these things pull beautifully. And I'm going to give you a first-person look here in just a moment. Very hard to get the camera angles on this, y'all. So I kind of wish I would have put the Oakley glasses on for the blending session. So I actually have the Oakley Meta glasses. And I do use them for some of this, so I do want to show you that aspect of it. But so this is the Robo Lifter. These are the super straight tabs. They're cut at a V shape. It's got a special receiver on that mini lifter. And all I can tell you is they pull super straight. You're not getting any play in here. Now, this is me trying to figure out what the heck did I do? I painted myself in a corner over here, right? And so you see me kind of fiddling around with it until eventually I get it in there. Now, if I had to, I could do a couple of them with the slide hammer. But this is what you get down to. This is the nitty-gritty of taking these tiny little tabs and taking these pulls. Because at this point, everything is moldable. Everything can be glue pulled at this point. It's unlocked. You can see there's no deep lines. There's no depth. And because I've got this thing unlocked, now I can start doing all the little detail work. And I will tell you, there was much more detail work in this. Probably 70% of this repair was very fine-tuning, a lot of detail work. A lot of blending with the blending hammer, a lot of knockdown work, a lot of using these super straight tabs. Just taking pull after pull, shaping this thing to get it back to as close as original as possible. You know, and you'll see here at the end, there are some tiny little flaws in the repair. And so the gentleman who brought this in, the body shop repair was ridiculously expensive on this. And he didn't want to spend that amount of time or that amount of money. So the body shop would have had it in there for a couple weeks at least. And it would have cost a lot more than what I think the body shop estimate was like $5,000 to do this back cab corner. Now I would tell you what my estimate was, but you know, some of my clients come on here. I don't want you to make the mistake of thinking. I could tell you that he saved a decent amount of money. In fact, he saved a decent amount of money by going this route. And he saved a ton of time, and he didn't have to have anything repainted. This is the least evasive technique that you can use when it comes to fixing the dents on your vehicle. And the truth of the matter is, because he didn't go through the body shop, he never had to file an insurance claim. And because he didn't file an insurance claim, this is never going to be on his Carfax record. We don't report anything to Carfax. I don't even know how you would do that. Okay, here you go. Now, you can kind of see it at this stage of the game. This is me just kind of showing you with the Oakley glasses at this stage of the game what it looks like. Now, this is some knockdown work that I wanted to show you, just going in and doing some of this very fine detail work here with the Oakley glasses. Hard part about this is just getting a camera angle because I'm always moving my head. And if you notice, I keep changing the frame of where the video, like right now, bam, see how it changes? That's because I keep moving my head, so I got to keep cutting the video and moving it at the right angle, right? And so, but this is reality. This is real. You're always moving your head, bobbing and weaving. This is the most critical angle that this thing had to be repaired to get it fixed. And so a lot of this, I was sitting down inside of my new Viper chair, which is the larger Viper chair that I use for quarter panels if I'm working on hoods, on a hood stand. And down here, it was nice and comfortable to sit down, look straight up. Now, all them glue pulls that I was doing, probably 90% of the time. No, but let's just say 80% of the time, I was looking at it from this angle. Now, I would go back and forth. You've always got to cross-check. This is a ton of complexity, but I promise you guys, if you are willing, you can fix one of these. If you are willing, you can fix one of these. You've just got to be able to put in the time, put in the effort. Can't be willing to give up. Now, I will tell you, I did do a little 2000 grit wet sanding on this. And so I didn't get it in the video, but y'all know what that looks like, hopefully. But I am using this flex tool with this 1-inch buffer. Freaking love this thing. Love it, love it, love it. Absolutely incredible. And I've got the 1-inch pads on there. That is to shine it up. Again, I went over this with 2000 grit sandpaper. And then polished her up, polished it out. And there's a little bit of a view of what that looks like there, and with the Oakley Meta glasses. I just want to give you as many angles as possible. Right there it is with the light. Up top is where it was got a little bit of busy. It's a little busy up there around that curve. And one of the reasons why was that paint chip. If you went back a little bit of the frame, you'd see that paint chip up at the top. It's not even a paint chip. It's just where that stress was from the very beginning that I had to continuously blend out and take pulls around it rather than taking a pull right on it. This repair was incredibly challenging. You guys can see here, no holes were drilled in the jamb. This is 100% glue pull. Check it out, check it out. Yes, I will show some of the little flaws in my work, but if you guys could imagine a client and customer, like he could not even tell that it had ever been done. It had ever been there, right? And so that is what's most important to me. And my friends, I appreciate you for coming along on this training. And I hope to get some other ones like this. Y'all know I love this stuff. I love my work. And I'm glad to have you along. And as usual, I'll see you on the next one.